the wrist piece. Hey, get these cuffs off my wrist, please. Blink your eye, turn the case in a Swiss cheese.
The Matrix Radio Vision Live,
where the outside and independent artist gets to shine.
Radio Vision Live with DWI, live from the BXNY.
Right. Back again, another Saturday. You already know, we got Cripple3030 on deck. You got my sexy co-host, Nicole.
Yes, sir.
You got my partner.
That's what he want cooking.
You got my partner, my other half, straight from the gutter, Jay Gutter.
We're here, baby. We here. We got a special guest today, boy.
And we got Afi Turner in the building.
Hey, how are you?
Afi Turner Myers.
Yes. See, you gotta get that last thing.
Gotta give respect to the hubby.
Yeah.
We don't want no problems. You ain't say Myers. We're sorry, sir. We're sorry. We apologize.
That she's really gonna have to do some cooking. That's why he threw out the thing about where his cooking. And it's funny because we actually had that conversation earlier. He said the reason why he married me was because of my food.
That's the reason we always get married, because
of my food.
The thing is, like,
it wasn't anything else. It was the food.
Nah, we can't even take y'all serious until we taste the cooking. Like, everything else is like, okay.
I'm not gonna co-sign that one.
But I think after like the second day,
I don't care what you
tasted my cooking.
co-sign. We don't
No,
take
but
y'all
he-
serious.
He had it easy because I think after like the second or third day, he tasted my cooking.
See, that's
And I think
why you
what
can't
kinda
co-sign.
wrapped him in.
I'm not gonna say.
And his belly been growing ever since.
I'm not gonna say that that's what he got.
No, we
Oh,
had
Miss
to
Turner,
keep it-
nasty.
We were living in, you know, we were transitioning when me and him got together.
Okay,
We had just both graduated.
okay,
That's when I met my husband.
okay.
So shout out to Fortune. I met my husband.
Shout out to
at
Fortune Society Connect.
Yeah, you better say it. We got Strive babies, we got Fortune people. So
Right.
I tell people all the time, we met each other during a transition, so I know it wasn't my cooking that.
They wrapped him in.
Listen, he there, and y'all happy. That's all that matters.
And he put a ring on.
You heard?
Don't you love those, right? We can do that.
Uh-oh, look, yeah, with presidential wave.
Yeah, we got that.
I respect it. I respect
Hold up.
it.
So now you touched on the Fortune Society thing, but like explain to them why you went through that.
I was at Fortune Society when I came home in 2009 because after serving 19 and a half years of incarceration, coming home, I knew I needed help. I needed more than what I could just give myself. So a close family friend, John Dawson, suggested Fortune Society because originally I had found a job in construction on my own, but I knew I didn't want to stay in construction. So
Right.
He suggested that I go to Fortune, and I did, and thank God I did because I got hired right out the classroom.
Right.
Did an internship, led to junior job development, then I stayed there for 4.5 years before moving on to Strive.
Because like the platform of the show really is, I'm trying to show society and the people that are related to people that are in prison that just because a person goes through prison, that doesn't mean that's the end of the world. There's something beyond that. As long as the person is motivated enough and determined that they can fight against that, and they can actually succeed into goals that they're trying to get to.
Actually, my whole argument with people, prison is something that happens.
Right.
It's like you made a left instead of a right. It's a oops. And some people, for myself, I say it's either oops or aw, right? Some of us
Right.
do oopses and some of us do aw, right? For people that have served substantial amount of time, and I don't care if it was 10 days, 10 years, time is time.
Right.
Some people get it their first go round. They go to Rikers Island. I have a cousin, he said he went to Rikers. He never, ever went back to prison after that. He was like, that was it for me, no. And he straightened up right away. Others, they go upstate,
Right.
My thing is, no matter what it is, once you get that aha moment, and like I said, some people it takes more than one time, some people it's one time, but once you get that aha moment and you realize that nothing is worth my freedom anymore, you're gonna do whatever you have to do when you come out so that you don't go back.
Do you ever, this is a question more for both of you, and it's just something that came in my head because I had a conversation with somebody. You ever have that moment where you're going through, like you're trying to keep your calm through a situation, but that adrenaline kicks in where you want to fuck that person up or you want to do whatever the fuck you got to do, and you feel like you're going to end up back in
Full
there?
disclaimer, Ms. Turner, we can't curse on this show.
Okay.
Yeah, we can.
I was like, hey, truthfully,
This
yes.
is his show.
Yes.
We're just the co-host, but
Pretty
yeah.
much.
Well, what I will say is definitely every day. Every day. My problem is that I just have I have no patience for nonsense. And
Even now?
even now, I've learned to channel it and deal with it in different ways.
Right.
Of course, when I was a kid, I handled things childlike. I'm a woman now. I'm gonna handle things like a grown woman, and I like to think of myself as not only a grown adult woman, but an educated grown adult woman. And as an African American woman, you don't want to come into it with Miss Ratchetness, because sometimes that's what people expect. Oh, she's an ex-offender. She's gonna come in with the, and I'm
Right.
like, really? This is, no, I'm not. So I've learned to channel the nonsense, channel it. Like the other day, I'm walking up my block. I live in the hood. Let's keep it real. I live in the hood. I came to the conclusion that I lived in the hood. I was in denial because I'm not from the Bronx originally. I'm from Queens.
Right.
So I grew up in a house. It's a little different. I
Right.
live in an apartment now. I grew up around a very diversified neighborhood. Now my neighborhood is not as diverse as I would like it because I feel like whenever you have one culture, they dominate and they forget that you have to respect other people's stuff
Right.
too. So recently.
And then everything crowds around that, right? All the stores and everything. Just you know, just in general, because I've noticed
like
that
for
too.
me looking for Lowry seasoning and everything is adobo. You know, I'm like,
Yes, I mean I'm Italian. I live in all
So you
Hispanic, pretty
understand.
much, you know,
Right, so you definitely
dominant
get it.
neighborhood.
But recently an officer was killed around the corner from me.
Okay.
So yesterday, day before yesterday, I'm coming up the block, and it's a lot of cops in my neighborhood now, of course.
Right.
What happened?
And this little boys, young men were playing, and he threw a firecracker at his friend.
Right.
But when he threw the firecracker, it went off in my ear.
Right.
First of all, you don't throw firecrackers at people.
Right.
Second of all, to me, it sounded like a gunshot because I didn't know what he had did.
Right.
So instantly, what do you think I did? I thought a gunshot went off in my head.
Right.
I reacted to where I heard the noise come from.
Right.
Bow.
And you punched.
Yeah. Instant. Then it hit me as soon as I bowed. Then I said, "Oh my God, wait." Police.
Right.
Oh, whoa.
Right.
And I'm like, how would I be able to explain to Jose? I can't come to the show because I'm on Rikers.
Right.
Or explain.
Well,
to
you
my-
could call in.
Right. Or explain to my family.
Yeah.
I'm back in trouble because I just punched a 17-year-old boy in his mouth because I thought he shot me. You
Right.
know?
Right.
Well, that's self-explanatory, but yeah.
Yeah.
But we as a person with a record, you instantly have to think about all of the, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. You know, all of the
Right.
things that just when they run your name, you could be dead to right, but when they run your name and, you know, so
Yeah.
I'm like, so the little boy's friend saved me. He said, see, that's what you get for playing. And he kind of laughed it off.
Right.
And the young man was like, Miss, sorry, miss, we was only playing.
Right.
I just got I'm out.
And it would have been real bad if they would have did the criminal history thing because, you know what I'm saying?
because he's 17, I'm an adult. It would have looked like.
Right.
And
And not only just that, because how deep is the history? You know what I'm saying?
Do you mind if I ask what you did get incarcerated for?
I went to prison for manslaughter in the first degree and attempted murder in the second degree.
Okay.
So my crime is violent. I'm considered a violent felony offender, although I have a certificate of relief. Thank you. New York State said I am rehabilitated, girl. I'm good.
Yes, sir.
I currently am working on a bill, hopefully, to change some things about that. Because I have a violent felony offense, even though I have a certificate of relief, it stops me from doing certain things that I want to do. Although I have a certificate of relief that says, according to New York State, I'm rehabilitated.
Right.
I can't naturally have children. So unfortunately, New York Presbyterian made a mistake and cut my colon when they were supposed to be removing fibroids. But I can't adopt because I have a violent felony.
Wow.
So,
Oh, Ms. Turner, before you continue, the petition that you have going on, can you add the bill that she's working on to that petition so we can get more signatures on?
Maybe we can do a separate one because like I'm doing a petition to try to seal the drug convictions from the views of employers.
Right.
For when they do the background check, they can't see if you had a
Right,
drug
and what I'm
conviction or
trying
not.
to do is, my whole platform is that if I had gotten pregnant naturally, no one would be questioning my parenting skills.
Nope.
Right.
Nobody would be involved, ACS, none of that, because I would just be a woman that was formerly incarcerated. I'm no longer incarcerated. I got pregnant. The only concern most people would have is we hope she has a job to take care of that baby.
Right.
We don't want her on no public assistance, right?
Right.
That's people's most concern. Like, she having a baby. I hope she can take care of it,
Right.
right? Nobody questions and you know this, Jose, from being around
Right.
me at my job. I love kids. People bring their kids here. I'll be watching my baby.
Right.
So no one would question.
Wait, so you babysit? Let me know.
Oh, yes.
We got 5.
No one. Hey, greedy. You could have gave me one.
But if I have any more kids,
Hey,
or whatever it seems to be, you will be the godmother. I will make sure.
Listen, look at here. So, no one would question my character to be a mom, but because I have a violent felony, something that I did when I myself was a child, now it becomes a question, right?
Right.
Because adoption, our laws in adoption in New York State are so antiquated. So I'm not asking, and I'm definitely not saying, open the floodgates for everybody to adopt a child. But in my case, what I'm saying is that if I had naturally had a child, no one would be questioning. So because I want to adopt a child, now my background comes into focus. However, can you explain something to me, and I'm going to ask all of you guys are parents,
Right.
what's the difference between a child that I naturally have and a child that I would want to adopt? what's the difference between the children?
Nothing.
Right,
Because either
so-
way, you're still gonna love that child. Because I mean, in our circumstance, he has 4 of mine that he's with every day, and I have one of his. You know what I'm saying? That I'm with every day, and through
That we were both with.
certain circumstances.
She's just throwing out there
You
that
didn't
you're
let
always
me-
working and shit.
Like,
You
Like,
didn't
he ain't
let
really
me.
here.
You
Like,
didn't let me finish. Now you just kind of made me want to hit you upside the head with a bottle.
Oh no, no problem.
No, see, it's plastic though.
She abuses me all the time.
Yes, every day.
We'll reveal that for the camera.
But you know, like through certain circumstances, as many people are aware of, my stepdaughter's mother is not here,
Right.
and you know, I do take that into consideration. Certain days, you know, like Mother's Day and all of that, I make sure that she's still in remembrance because she is young of her mom.
Nicole, you're not
And-
answering the question.
What is the question? What happened?
The question she asked, you going around the world. Like,
You didn't let me finish.
We bust
Exactly
shots
the
at each other
point.
here,
I
by the
see.
way,
We
yeah.
took- answer the question.
Yeah, Jay. Yeah, answer the question.
Well, the thing was, I worked as a case manager for the homeless shelter, and I had a client. They had a felony, but it wasn't a violent felony.
Right.
They were able to adopt.
Right. So if I had a drug case,
You
I
can
would
adopt.
be able to adopt.
So that confused me even more because they had a couple of drug cases. They had felonies for drug cases. And the ACS worker came and spoke to me as a case manager. And all they asked was that they were in permanent housing and they had to have ACS for a year and they had to get drug tested. That was it. But being that you have a violent felony, you can adopt.
banned
I
from
think
adoption.
That doesn't make sense.
I
It's
also
banned, period.
think-
and I get it because let's be real, they don't want people that have child-related cases and different things like that. I can understand you definitely scrutinizing and saying, whoa, if you abused a child or something like that, why?
Well,
would
that
you-
was my point. It should be related to the crime.
My
For
crime had
example, if
nothing
you
to do
have
with children.
Not
Yeah,
even. This would
and-
be a
and-
statute of limitation, though. If you had a crime 10 years ago, you served your time.
Well,
You
that,
came
that's
out. Now you've been
that's the
working.
next thing.
Everything's on the up and
that's
up
actually the next thing.
since
The fir-
2009.
my whole first argument would be, well, why isn't it related to the crime? For example, I got nothing dealing with kids. I got no abuse issues, nothing like that. So why am I being reviewed for that?
Well, the thing
then
with
on top of
adoption-
that, when you get a certificate of relief, you're considered like the slate is wiped clean.
Right.
No, but
But
Cripple,
yeah,
you gotta
it's not
you gotta
for that.
realize with the
It's not
adoption,
for that.
a lot of the kids that are put. Number one, it depends on the age you're trying to get the child. That's number one with ACS. Number two, it depends on what the background of the child. Let's say the child is 5 years old and they were removed from that family because of violence. They're not going to give it to someone that has a violent. All right. They're not going to give it to someone that has a violent history. I understand that. But if you have a certificate of release, you have a clean slate since 2009, we need to amend these laws. And like,
That's a fact.
that doesn't make sense.
Right,
and
and
we
that's
need,
where
and I
I'm
need
at with it.
Cripple, because I know Cripple is real heavy in petitions and everything else and getting people to sign and makes it extremely easy for everyone, for you guys to work together and get that
Right.
through because that's bullshit.
Yeah, and I actually, what happened was, of course, the hospital had no reason to know my background. You're my doctor, not a lawyer. You know, there's no reason
Right.
for you to know. And I'll never forget after coming through the surgery and stuff like that, the physician, the doctor at New York Presbyterian, when I found out that they had removed my fallopian tubes and stuff like that, because I went in, normal, ready to hear the pitter-patter of little feet, just remove the fibroids and I would be all right.
Right.
Due to their mistake, when I woke up and you see these machines and all this stuff, I'm like, and he's like, oh, don't, Miss Turner, don't worry, you can adopt. And that's, when
What you mean? Don't worry, you can adopt.
he was like, you can adopt a child. There's other methods, and you know how you look at somebody, and I just started crying because I knew that I can adopt. What you're saying is not. First
Right.
of all, it's not easy for anyone to adopt, but it's definitely not easy for, a person with a background to adopt. But I already had looked into those things, so I knew that I wasn't going to be able to.
Hey, can I turn that down?
Do that. So, you know how you just say to yourself, he didn't know that, and even then after he found out, it wasn't like New York Presbyterian stepped forward and was like, well, we'll help you in any way that we can,
Right.
With any of this.
Not
So,
until they get on lawsuit papers.
of course, and even with that, I realized that because New York Presbyterian is such a big entity, we're talking a big corporation. We're
Right.
not talking
Huge.
Unfortunately, the lawyer that I had originally, I didn't look for him. He came to my house, but
Right.
I'm in the process now of figuring out, switching up, doing some switching, because he seems to think that it's okay what happened to me. That we
The
can't.
attorney that came to you?
Yeah.
Wow.
And you know how you say to yourself, no, you don't know Afi Turner Myers well, because if you think that I went into this hospital and all they were supposed to be doing is removing fibroids,
Right.
and I came out with no fallopian tubes, one ovary, you left my uterus, and my world is upside down. I owe New York Presbyterian so much in medical bills, and I didn't graduate when I was supposed to from Lehman because I was in the hospital for 6
Right.
months, and I had to wear ileoscopy. If you think that I'm gonna let New York Presbyterian and just go, let it go, let it go and move on, why would I do that?
Right.
Why would I do that? As a result of being in the hospital 6 months, you forget when I left to go into the hospital to have this minor operation, Strive, my agency, was beginning to work on reentry. Because when I got there, they didn't actually, we've always worked with people that were formerly incarcerated, but they didn't have an actual department that was just designated for formerly incarcerated people. And I like to believe that my own story played a lot in helping them to see that having a department is very important, because people that are formerly incarcerated, reentry is important, and it's different. Their job development, their career development, the way that you deal with them is different.
It's a lot.
Because
it's a lot stressful,
right.
A lot more
So
stressful, yeah.
as a result, promotions and different things that I may have been able to get before I went into the hospital, of course, were put on the back burner because I was out for 6 months, and then even when I got out the hospital, I couldn't go to work right away. I remember returning to work just to see everybody because I just needed to get out. And I still had a hole in my side, and I still had the machine. And I went up to Strive, and just the love from the students, from staff, from everybody. People don't realize that's what kept me going. When it was days when I was like, I'm done. I came home after 19 and a half. And then, that's another thing. The fibroids that I had, they thought I had 9 fibroids. I had 17. DOC, every year, you see a GYN doctor.
Right.
Y'all were giving me Vicodin for pain because of the fibroids. So DOC knew that I had issues. When I came home with a prescription for Vicodin. That's a narcotic, so you knew that I needed,
Right.
I needed these things out of me. Why would you leave tumors up in somebody? So that's a whole nother,
Right.
you know how you say.
But that also lends credence to what we also talk about here in the show too, the fact that we, prisoners, while they incarcerated, they're not subjected to the same type of medical attention as they would if they was free. They
No.
also they're abused constantly by the staff.
I'll tell you
know what I'm
something.
saying?
I can
and
remember.
that's one of the abuses.
Definitely. I can remember telling the doctor in prison when I was in Bayview Correctional. One of the COs, a female, Nicole, you definitely can understand. Cramps for a normal person, just a normal woman with no fibroids, no issues, or anything. Cramps hurt, right? Every month it hurts. Imagine doubling that, because now you have these things that constrict and do things inside of you when you get your menses. I remember not being able to stand up every month, or being afraid to stand up because you don't want to have an accident, right? And I remember this CO telling me, "Oh, you faking. I'm not calling a clinic for you. You're faking."
Right.
And at that point, by the time I was in Bayview Correctional Facility, I might have been down, I want to say 15 years already. And I'm looking at this person, and I'm saying in my mind, because it was a woman. This
Right.
is not like it was a guy telling me you're faking.
So in other words,
'cause he
she
didn't
knows
understand.
where you're coming from.
Right. So
Right.
you look, and some women don't, because they don't get cramps. So she
Right.
may have thought I was exaggerating or being a drama queen.
Right, right.
And I remember looking at her, and I felt like all the color left my face. And I don't know if it was the look I gave her, but she ended up calling the hospital for me, calling the clinic. And I remember times like that, and it's like, you guys, DOC, the doctors, not DOC in itself, but the doctors, you knew that there was a problem. And you let me come home, and what I'm learning is a lot of women, a lot of I like to call them my sisters in the struggle, we're coming home and we're having reproductive problems. I know that Remy Ma recently was on Love and Hip Hop talking about, and I know that she did 6 years.
Right.
So in that 6-year time period, every year she was seeing a GYN doctor. You didn't notice that maybe there was some fibroids, maybe there was something going on. And see, I have a problem with that, because you're allowing these things to fester in women, and then we're coming home and trying to lead a normal life.
And
right?
the problem is that a lot of times the staff and they do that on purpose because they want to save money.
You know,
what I'm saying?
DLC,
They don't want to pay
women
for
had
certain things.
a lawsuit. They were actually giving women hysterectomies at one time in Department of Corrections was doing illegally. There was no reason. There was no medical reason. And you cannot tell me who's going to prison. What women go to prison for the most part? All people go to prison, but
Right.
it's mostly black and brown women, right? So
Right.
if you're giving them hysterectomies unnecessarily,
That means you're controlling
that population.
Our reproduction, yeah.
And the reproduction of those
Right.
populations. So then they got a special master to look over that, so they weren't allowed to do that anymore.
Right.
But instead of doing that, if you just ignore the problems that come with being a woman,
They still will
sometimes
kill us off.
you're still
So is there a
controlling
class
what
action
happens.
suit going on? Being that they realized it was a problem, they changed it.
And
Now
it's
you
still a
have
problem.
all these women.
Right.
So there should be some sort of
I'm actually
class action
in the process
suit.
right now of getting together with a lot of the women that are coming home and seeing, you know, who has these problems, because that's definitely something that we're definitely looking into.
Right.
Because you know how you say to yourself, okay, I'm not gonna lie, when it happened to me, at first I wasn't talking about it. Nobody really knew why I went to the hospital. Nobody really knew what the outcome was and stuff like that. People just knew that Afi had went to the hospital, things didn't quite go the way they thought, and she's suing. You know, that was it. I didn't really know how to bring that to the forefront.
Right.
Because it's a personal issue, you know, and then so much happened during that time. This happened in 2014. And this time last year, 2014, I was really sick. You know, I just told my husband the other day, I said, you know, it's funny how I've come full circle. You know, a lot of people, it would have crushed them, you know, because I'm my mom's only child, right? My dad has kids, but I'm my mom's only child. To tell your mother that, hey, you know, I can't give you a grandkid, and I'm her only one. You know, my husband doesn't have any children. So to look at him every day, and then, you know.
How does he feel about everything now?
Oh my goodness, I
He
love him.
take everything
You
in
know,
stride?
I loved my husband from day one. Like, I tell him I loved him from jump, right?
So you just wanted to hug and kiss him since day one?
Yeah.
I wanted to punch him in the face since day one.
Yeah, she still does.
You saw her face, don't you
She
say,
still
yeah,
punches. She still
Yeah, I
punches.
love my husband.
yeah.
But
That's that ooey gooey mushy.
yeah, it's still, you know, we just got married last year on the 20th of August. So we are
Congratulations.
coming up on our anniversary.
Oh, so you got 2 months of
Yeah,
us.
so I'm like, how do you tell this man that has no children, right? And you know, when I met my husband, one of the things that he said to me, we were working in Coney Island, and we were walking around, and he said, I can't wait till you have my baby.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, and this is before, you know, any surgery or anything like that, and I was like, oh, really?
Right.
And I was like, well, and I said to him then, I said, you know what? I want to have your baby. I said, but I want us to get right first. So my plan of things, you know, because one thing prison teaches you is how to plan things
Right,
out, how
right,
to not be
definitely.
impulsive.
Yeah.
So my thing was, let me go finish up school. Let's get stable as far as housing is concerned, because like I told you, we were both in a transition when we met. I was living in a convent, and he was living, when I first met my husband, actually, he had just got out of Ward's Island and was living in transitional housing, because he's formerly incarcerated too.
Right.
So we were sneak being together, because we were both on parole. Please, I think my PO knew, because she would say his name and I would be like, so
She knew.
She knew. So I wanted to get it together. You know, I wanted us to be together. I wanted to be, because the one thing I never feel like a child should ever worry about is finances. You know,
right.
and kids can feel that. They can feel when you're struggling. So I wanted us to be right, you know, and I also wanted the normal stuff that you dream about. You know, the husband. You know, I wanted to be different. I didn't want to have a baby daddy. I wanted to say, this is my husband, this is our baby, you know.
Right.
So I wasn't rushing to get pregnant, but because I was 37 years old, you know,
Right.
it was like,
It's getting to that time.
tick, 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 tick,
Yeah.
tick. You know, you hear it in the back of your head, so it's like, oh boy, we got a hump. I got to go to school. Hump, go to school. Hurry up, make it happen, you know. When that didn't happen, to look at this man and say, I can't give you the one thing that you've been asking me for since the beginning.
Right.
And I never forget, I was laying in New York Presbyterian when I found out everything, that, you know, they had took out the tubes, the ovary, and I was already engaged. And he came in, and I said, I need to tell you something, and I need to ask you something because this is important. And he was like, what? And I say, mind you, he never missed a day of coming to see me in the hospital. He missed one day, and that was because the doctor told him, don't come the day after the major surgery because I was going to be out of it anyway. And I woke up and was asking for him, and he still came. So he said, what happened? And I told him, I said, you know, I can't have babies. And he looked at me, and I said, and I'm not a selfish person, and I said, and I love you enough that if you want to break up because I can't give you a child, you don't have kids, it's just not going to happen. And at that time, I had like shut down, so it was like, it's not going to happen. He looked at me, and he was like, so we'll get a damn dog. What? All right, we can get a dog, babe. He said, I didn't want a baby with just anybody. I wanted a baby with you. I'm still going to marry you. I love you. Like, he just don't know. It was like, oh.
It was like a natural reaction. Like he didn't think about it. He just
right
on
then.
it.
He didn't.
Why do
hesitate.
men always go to animals?
I don't know, because I don't know what made him think a puppy was going to place. That's not to say that you won't let a puppy.
But I think
No. We're gonna finish that conversation though.
But I think honestly, I believe that it. I would believe that a lot of it is your character. Your character was driven to say, you know what, I'm willing to sacrifice that as long as I got you. Because mind you, prison. Another thing that prison teaches us is it teaches us loyalty, right? It teaches us patience, right?
You ain't patient.
No, not at all.
What you talking about?
Shut the hell up. But continue.
It teaches us patience. It teaches us loyalty, right? It teaches you how to love, right? Because you know how to lose. Because mind you, that's what the prison system always indoctrinates us, right?
Yes.
You be at one spot 2 years, you start getting close with everybody, next thing you know, pack up tomorrow, you out. Like what? Like I was just getting to know everybody, you know what I'm saying?
Or
and it happens regularly.
I tell people, my mom, being the only child, my mom hates when I say this, but I tell her all the time, you prepared me for SHU a long time ago, before I ever went to prison. That you prepared me for SHU or keep lock. And she's like, don't say that. Don't say I prepared. And I'm like, Mom, you don't understand. I loved being in lock because I was by myself. I was used to being by myself. And
as Jose says that you are your own best friend.
Hey, talk about it.
Definitely.
And the funny thing with that is going to prison so young, I didn't always have patience, and I wasn't always a nice person. No, I can be honest. I was an asshole at some points in my bed. But it was because the adjustment. My favorite thing to say, and I laugh about it now, but it was, you're not my mother, and that's a young kid's thing to say. You a CEO, you're not my mother. My mother ain't no cop, But the loyalty thing I had before then. For me, unfortunately and fortunately, I was loyal to a fault. And I can say that now because even when I came home, I brought that loyalty, I'm your friend, I'm a rider, I'm a ride to the end. And I realized that in prison, even in prison, I had befriended people that they weren't my friend.
That's a fact.
They didn't want what was really best for me. And then I met some beautiful people that, helped nurture me. I tell my mother Mother's Day. I have one mother, I love my mother, but I have a godmother that from prison, from the door, she took to me and, you're going to go to school. For her, just like my mom's school was important for her, me going to school was important. I remember her pulling my bed up. I was underneath the bed, and her pulling the bed up in my cell, like, get out and go to school. What is wrong with you? And you're sleeping, hiding under the bed, sleep. Go to school. And I applaud that now.
And we tend like when you're in prison, you tend to get a lot of those relationships. So now, but also as part of your a proof of your character is that even though you went through all of that, you came out and you did big things.
Yeah. I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. This is only, what I tell people is the crazy thing is a lot of things that I've done since I've been home are things that I thought about while I was incarcerated. I'm a people person. Like Jose will tell you, I don't shake my clients' hands. I give them hugs. If you have a kid out there, I'm coming. It's like I can smell a baby out front. I'm coming. I'm playing with the kid. Then I'll go back in, and then I might come back out and play a little more.
Were you at the Christmas party?
Of course I was.
That's where we met before.
Yes. So,
okay.
And in the barbecue.
Yes, and at the
yes,
barbecue.
yes.
I definitely love people, right? I've always liked people, and I think it's because I'm an only child that people to me were important because I have a big family, but you don't always want to be bothered with your family. So to me, building outside relationships were important too because I didn't always want to have to go, this is my cousin, you know, no,
Right.
I wanted other people. So me loving people and really genuinely caring about people is something that I carried with me throughout. And then going to prison young, the one thing that my mom said scared her when I came home was that although I was a grown woman, I had, of course, done some great things while incarcerated. She was worried that I was coming home with that kid
Mentality.
No, not the mentality, the innocence. You know, I came home and I still would take you at face value, whatever you said, you know, until you proved that you were lying or that's not so. And I got like I said, in the beginning, I was getting my feelings smacked up a little bit because
Right.
I was thinking that people, unfortunately, my husband taught me something. It is what it is. And what makes the world go round is that we're all different. You know, in my rose-colored eyes, if I was nice to you, you were automatically going to be nice to me.
Right.
Or if you called me your friend for years in prison, we were going to come home and still be friends. Not realizing that you might have been my friend in prison because people like me, they didn't like you.
Right.
You understand? But they really liked me, so
Do
they're
you
going to
have
be
any
your
friends?
You know, so.
Do you still have any friends that you?
Oh yeah.
incarcerated
Oh
with?
yeah. Listen, a lot. A lot.
True friendship.
True friendships. You know. There's some
But
women
it's
that-
because honestly in there, it's like there's a unofficial enforcement
Yes.
of like that loyalty.
Yes.
Right? Because unofficially, you know, people are obligated to be loyal to those that are loyal to them.
Right. And
if
then
you're
when
not
you
loyal
out,
to
right, and
them,
then when you come home, it's different.
right. And out here is a whole different thing. Out here is like they
Every
don't
man for
have those
theyself.
rules. Like
Yeah.
nobody has those. They don't have the same rules.
I hate to say it, but I look at life now, just like I did. You know, there's no difference for me. You know, I remember when Jose, when you first told me about the radio show, I
Right.
told him, I said, I'll come. I said, just tell me whenever, I'm coming.
So why he took so long to bring you on the show?
Because our schedules kept.
Oh,
going
okay. Because
crazy.
I was gonna beat him with your book real quick.
No, don't beat him. So like you were saying, a lot of the things that I've done or am still doing are things that I might have talked about while incarcerated.
Well, I'm pretty sure you didn't talk about all of this.
Oh, let me tell you the funny thing with
Because
that.
I ain't gonna front. I don't like to read books, but I think
Oh, I
is
think
this
you
our
gonna like-
copy?
Yes.
Oh, okay,
I
so I'll
think-
be reading this later on.
I think you.
But
gonna
Jose's
make,
at work.
listen, I might get a godchild when you're done.
Well, that would be. I would love that, but on Jose's behalf, he wouldn't. And you know, if it happens,
When
it
did you
happens.
write the book? Was it while you were incarcerated or after you came home?
Why did I wait until after I came?
No,
home?
I said when did you write it?
Oh, well, what happened was, let me tell you, the funny thing is, I always say God is an amazing and merciful and knowing God, because I came home in 2009. My brother came home in 2009. My husband came home in 2009. One day we were sitting on the couch, just sat rapping, and my brother Latif said, I wrote a book. And I said, stop playing. I wrote a book too, right? And he was like, stop lying.
Right.
And so, of course, I said, well, I'm lying. I started a book. It's not done.
Right.
I said, but I told my husband, I said, the funny thing is one of my main characters' name is Marcus. And my husband's name is Marcus.
Right.
And I was like, his name is Prince Marcus. And he was like, you lying. So I went and got the book, you know, the book that I had. And I showed him. And I was like, lie to you? What I got to lie to you for, you know? And my brother was like, we got to do something with this, you know? And I was like, all right, you know. And so 2 weeks later, a week later, my brother's like, Hot Lava Publishing, what? And I was like, Hot Lava Publishing? That sounds freaky. And-
Hold up. Does Latif really have a book?
yes.
Or what, did he just take your book and then y'all just...
No, Latif
Put it
has,
together.
actually our first book out from Hot Lava Publishing, the one that started it all was 5K1.
Okay.
And that's Latif's book. Latif wrote 5K1.
Okay,
Look,
So he
Latif
really
was
did have a
edited,
book. He wasn't
you know.
bullshitting.
No, he wasn't bullshitting.
Okay, he really
his
had a
book
book.
was
Okay.
done. Actually, my brother is
Okay.
that dude because his was done.
Okay.
So 5K1 came out, and of course we have a little following. You know, now I'm not. You know, I know it's going to be bigger with this.
Right.
And of course, you know, 5K1 is the federal code for snitching. So it's called 5K1 Killer. So and the book is really good, right? And I was impressed because my brother's silly.
Right.
People wouldn't notice about my brother, but he's silly as hell. So
They're not
you know,
supposed to know.
right. So
Well, now everybody
now
knows.
everybody knows.
Now
You're
everybody
silly,
knows.
Latif. So
Yeah.
then he was talking about writing an erotica book. And I had told him jokingly one day, I said, man, my stories will knock Zane out the box. Right? I said, I write that stuff that'll have you tell the CO, get away from your cell door, leave you alone, you're killing yourself in there.
Your imagination is very big, huh?
Yes. So I'm an only child. You have to have a great imagination.
Yeah, vivid as hell.
So we decided that we were going to then do an erotic series of books. And this is the first in
And this
set
is
of
one of the
series.
results of it?
Yes.
We get that.
There's the one that the viewers can't see because Nicole won't let it go.
Yes.
It's going
so
home
that
with you,
book
sweet. It's
is
okay.
about
Oh, I know, it
by
is.
me
It's okay.
and my brother Latif, Hot Lava Chronicles.
Keep
Okay.
it over here.
Which
Wait,
is
no, I
different
wanted
than
to mention something.
5K1 because 5K1, of course, being the urban book, but Hot Lava Chronicles is the erotica side. And what we say, our slogan is from the streets to the sheets. So, you know, we not only got the streets locked down, but we got the sheets locked down. So, you know, for
So your
the
sex
thugs,
life is very
you know,
good.
what? You better say it. I'm not happily married for nothing.
You heard?
So, I tell people, we got you covered, you know?
Each one of your chapters, I would say, is written differently.
Right, that's to let you know that it's a different author, different theme. And if you notice, that book has pictures.
No,
That was
I
more
noticed
for the
that.
guys, right.
I ain't gonna
Okay,
front.
Miss Turner, I'm gonna tell you
Keep it
right
away
now.
from the kids.
This was my favorite
Being-
one.
Being that you have Hot Lava Chronicles, we have a show called The Freak Chat.
Oh,
And one of the
yes.
co-hosts is actually in the building.
Yeah, because we gotta like.
No,
keep
but
it.
y'all gonna chop it up.
Oh, definitely,
Afterwards,
definitely.
yeah.
'Cause, it fits right in.
Yes, definitely.
It's funny. It's funny
Yes,
that
yes.
every
I
time
think that
Ty
is a
comes
very
through,
important part of life.
she picks up somebody.
Something sexual comes out.
Right. Yeah.
Every time that we
Yeah.
come through, but it's just
Listen,
we always run it.
Every time she comes through, she last
It's
time.
divine intervention,
Last time
man.
was the homeless donations. With donating
Oh,
coats.
speaking of that, we
All
want
right,
to
y'all
talk
can
about
speak
that.
after that.
No.
so I think erotica and, you know, people always say, how do you stop violence? Make people go in their rooms and put their sheets up. Yeah, exactly. If people are coming, they're happy. I am. So this book to me, people were like, oh, you and your brother wrote the book together. No, listen, no. I wrote my
You know what they're thinking, right? Like they're in the same bedroom writing
I'm like,
together.
no.
Like, what you think about this
So
part?
you're a very good you're a very good author. Like you
Yes,
write a lot
and
of
I
things.
Also, so this is, like I said, Chronicles that's our baby. You know, Chronicles is our baby. I can honestly say what I loved about Chronicles was that it was me and Latif together, coming together as writers.
Right.
And I'm not gonna say that we're competitive. Me and my brother are competitive as hell. So, you know, if he wrote something and I read it and I was like, that ain't freaky. You want to see freaky, you know? So I think this really got our chops going as far as, you know, he would, you know, yo, look at this, and I'll be like, nah, look at this, you know. So it felt good. It felt good to do a project with him, you know, as opposed to I'm writing my own thing, he's writing his own thing.
Right.
And I think that this right here is going to be a platform to allow, because what we would like to do, what we're going to do, is we're going to allow other writers, other erotic writers to come, and we're going to, you know, do a contest, and you'll be able to be in the next Hot Lava, you know, sessions too.
Right.
You know, feature
should
your
enter
work.
that.
And for me,
You should enter
my
that.
brother has been a real inspiration, because seeing his following with 5K1 and stuff, I'm actually writing my own book. It's called, like I told y'all, Not What It Seems, The Making of a Female G. And at first the book was called Not What It Seems, and then I changed it to add The Making of a Female G, because, you know, I'm a firm believer that things are not always what they seem.
Right.
You know, for me, I went away for manslaughter and attempted murder, and because of where I live, my family members and different things like that, people assumed that I was in prison for one thing, and they were saying things that were totally untrue. So it wasn't what it seemed. You know, it seemed like, oh, you know, she must have been selling crack. She must have been, you know, doing this. She had to be doing, you know, and the truth of the matter is nothing could be, you know, that my case had nothing to do with that.
Far from that.
And I'm not going to talk about my case because I believe that when
Well, we don't want to know what about it.
I don't have a
anyway.
victimless case.
We
You
don't
know,
need
I
that.
told y'all what the charges was,
Yeah.
and with everybody with this reentry thing,
Right.
you know, one of the reasons why people are like, oh, why you don't join this, or why you don't talk about, why you're not involved in,
Right.
and me and Jose talked about this before. I am humbled by my 19 and a half years, but I'm more so humbled because my crime was not victimless.
Right.
So my victim has family. and they
Right.
have, and actually my victim was my family member. So I know that my crime was not victimless. It affected many lives, not only mine.
Right.
So I'm not gonna come out here demanding, and the world owes me. I owe the world because I depleted from my community. So a part of me feels like everything I do is to give back some of what I took away. Because, you know, not being funny, I'm an 80s kid. You know, we
Right.
took away a lot in the 80s. You know,
Yeah.
80s money still spends. So my thing is we have to give some of that back. Because some of what we've done, we're seeing it now. We're
So I
still
guess,
seeing
and
it.
then
So
I guess doing the reentry thing, and then also doing the book writing
Doing
and
the
everything
books,
is
giving
your way of
people-
giving back.
yeah, it's my way of giving back. Also the empowerment workshops, you know, when I go, because I'm a consultant on the side,
Right.
Beautiful Visions. One of the things, empowerment through experience, I go and I speak to employers, and I teach them how to look for that formerly incarcerated person to hire. You know, because a lot of people, it sounds good being the box. It sounds good. But you still have to answer that question when they offer you that job.
Right.
You know, it sounds good to say, oh, I work with the formerly incarcerated, but you're not really working with them. You're just giving them you're not giving them a chance for a career. You're just giving them a job. You know, that's not enough. Some of the people that are formerly incarcerated, when we reach a certain level, what are you doing to reach back? You know, who's helping that porter that might have did 10 years, but he didn't get his GED because he worked on his physique and not his brain? You
Right.
understand what I mean? Who's working with him? You know, who's showing him that, listen, okay, you didn't get your GED inside, even though you did a lot of time. What are we going to do now so that you can survive out here? Because if you're only making $11 an hour, if you're only making $10 an hour, we know you're not surviving. You know, if you don't have somebody helping or you don't have some help. So my thing is, I feel like part of my give back is I want us all to be bosses. You know,
Right.
we are our own community. And my thing is, if the reentry community really looked out for the reentry community, we wouldn't have to get grants from RFPs from
That's a
DOC.
fact.
We wouldn't have to go to other people to get anything because it's right there. We got people that, it's enough money right there. My thing is, when's the last time you seen that dude in the hood? And we all know who that dude in the hood is in our hoods.
Right.
When's the last time you seen the ice cream truck pull up and that dude buy every ice cream, every kid out there? You know, you know. Yeah, so you know, so you know how you say to yourself, see, I can remember a time
2003, 2005
Right,
was the
you
last
know.
time I seen somebody do something
right,
like
you know,
that.
or take the kids to Great Adventure, you know, when's the last time? So we live
But
in a
a
society
lot of that's
now
from our era.
right? And
Our era, they used to do things
but
like that.
we right,
You know
so
what
that's
I'm
what I'm saying.
saying? Yeah.
We took and we didn't show that side though. See, when they're making the New Jack City movies and they're making certain movies, they're not talking about how, although that hustler did certain things, yeah, he might have took over 2 project buildings, but he created, you know, other things. That kid that was doing school, good in school, he took them shopping. That mother that he
Right.
knew was strung out bad, he made sure those kids were all right. We don't show that side.
Right.
You know, media will make it seem like it's okay for you. Me and you made money together. Now they got me in the precinct, and I'm telling.
Right.
You know, so we bigging that up. You know, oh, tell.
Yeah,
You know,
mhm.
no, we're not telling the true story. And I feel like my job is to tell that true story
That's a fact.
of that loyalty that you talk about.
Right.
Of that, because see, I didn't get that loyalty inside. I learned it before I went inside. I learned that loyalty from my family. I learned it from my
Right.
brothers. I learned it from my cousins. You know, my sister. You know, we were loyal to each other. You know, to a fault.
Right.
To a fault, and I can admit it was to a fault. So you know, my thing is, I'm trying to bring it back because that saying it takes a village, you know, to raise a community. People,
raise a child,
you know,
right.
people think people think it was just to raise a child.
Well,
no,
each child is part of that
but
community.
can I tell you something? It takes a village to sustain that community. It takes a village to not only raise that child up, but to raise that man up, that woman up, to continue the community. And we're not doing that no more.
That's
so,
a fact.
you know, my thing is, we have to, you know, start all over. Let's clean the slate and let's build our people back up. You know, and when I say our people, you know, of course, you know me.
New York.
You know, I'm talking about all the hoods, right? I'm talking about all the hoods. You know, people like to say we are, what did they call us? Socially, economically starving.
Right.
You know, but you don't need a lot of money to do certain things. You know, you don't.
So-
You don't need. I'm not rich. Publishing company, you know, Beautiful Visions, consultant work. You know, and yeah, I'm about my money. I like his money.
Right.
But I'm never gonna step on Peter to get to Paul.
But and a lot of that just comes with determination and motivation.
Of course.
Because once
Of
you
course.
once you start striving to get what you need to get, then you have others that they say, you know what, I got a little bit of money to throw in there. I got a little bit of help I can give you.
Or
I can
time.
guide you somewhere.
Or just
You know what I'm
time.
saying?
Nah, but the
Yeah.
government is all messed up because what they do is they start a gentrification process
Mm-hmm.
and they'll clean everything up and then start shifting the browns out. So it's like now we can't afford to live there no more.
Right.
So now we're basically in one hood killing each other
Exactly.
because the rent is too high.
So now, but now
Crazy.
let everybody know how they can get the book and where they can
You
get in
can
touch
go
with you
to-
at.
Yes, you can definitely go on.
Well, I got mine for free.
Amazon, you got that's right. Amazon, Hot Lava Chronicles. You can also look at 5K1 is there. On Amazon. You can also go to our website, hotlavapublishing.com, and order it there.
What pays you more? Us going to your website or us going to Kindle?
Website.
Website. So we're going to the
So we're
website.
gonna just go to the website.
Let's go to the website.
Of course, you know, you go to Amazon.
HotLavaPublishing.com.
Y'all know how that go.
Let's
you
go
know,
to
so,
Amazon. What? The website. Shout out the website.
You know,
So that where we're going to get it.
hotlava.com,
There you go.
hotlavapublishing.com. You know, you definitely want to get this book. I tell any, I recently did an adult party. And shout out to Alex Lauren. They have toys and stuff. We had the toys.
The pleasure party?
Yes. Yes. It was an adult pleasure. Yes. 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 Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
because
I see
they're
you
not
said
well
sexual
versed.
enhancement. I said sexual empowerment party.
I'll take them both. But continue.
We recently did one, and it turned out really well because I don't believe in just doing the parties and just leaving it at that. We actually we took it right. What I did was we did an empowerment workshop first for the women because it was mainly women that had showed up, and it was beautiful. When I tell you it was beautiful to hear women, formerly incarcerated women,
Right.
women that weren't incarcerated, get together and talk and just get to know each other. And you know, we talked about some sex stuff, and then of course I introduced the book. Lauren was able to introduce some toys and you know different things, lingerie. So working with other vendors to me, other female vendors for me. I work with anybody, but shout out to the women. You know, we need to work closer together. Working with other vendors to me is very important. When I do events, I like to bring out other vendors because it's important to get your work out there, to get what you're doing out there. And like I
Cross-market.
said, right. So, and also it's a networking event, a networking opportunity for me. At the end of the day, I am a career specialist. You know, I want to network with as many people so that if I call you, hey, I got a guy that does X, Y, and Z, or I have a female that does X, Y, and Z, you hiring, you know. And like you said, it's about personality. I know I have a people personality. I'm a comedian. You know, I like to see people laugh. And so I feel like those things to me, you know, are things that, like you said, that motivation. You know, I remember saying to myself right before I came home from prison, I didn't know I was coming home, by the way.
Right.
I came home on Article 78, you know.
Gotcha.
I actually got hit at the parole board 6 times because they were saying the nature of my crime. I got caught up in that double deuces, you know, hits. So when I found out that I was coming home, I got scared. You know, I had all these plans, like, you know how you plan A, plan B, plan C, but I was scared to death because the world had changed.
Right, the culture
And, you know,
shock.
right. And then when I came out, when I left, cell phones were like this big, and it was like,
Right.
right? I came home and it was like,
Yeah.
you know, and I thought I was cute. My mom got me a cell phone. I was like, call dad. She was like, that shit ain't gonna say that. And why would I call your dad? Get out of here. Why would my phone have called dad? But I was doing what I saw on TV. I didn't really
Right.
know how to use the phone, but I didn't want to
Right.
tell my mom.
Right.
So, you know, I remember saying to myself, I'm going to do some wonderful things. I didn't know if they were going to be big things. I didn't know, but I knew I wanted to be a part of this community, and I knew that I wanted to be a positive part, first of all.
Right.
Because you have people that are part of things that they should have stayed under, you know, they shouldn't have been a part of. But I wanted to be a positive part, but I didn't want it to be about me per se.
Right.
I wanted it to be about the people.
In general.
In general, right. So I definitely knew that, and I knew that I was going to get knocked down a couple of times. Didn't want to, but that's life. But you get up and you dust yourself off. It's just like when I was in prison. What I don't talk about a lot is at the end of my bid, I went through something. My last parole board hit blew my mind. So I shut down. Like, I didn't want to talk. If you talk to me, I would just start crying. I would just not crying like, ugh, but tears would just, and
Was that the frustration?
it was the frustration, it was the anger, it was the I'm wasting. At that point in my life, I can honestly say I had graduated from college. I was now over 35 years old. I had been there since I was 17 years old. At that point, I was in Bayview Correctional Facility. I had been there for almost 6 years. Mind you, that's a facility that was only designed for you to be there for a year or two.
Right.
So I had been there, it was a building. So imagine almost 6 years in one building, just going up and down and up and down. Want to go to the yard? It's on the roof. Walk around. You can't even walk around because there's nowhere to go.
Right.
So I felt like a caged animal. I knew that inside my heart I had changed as an individual, you know, as a person. I wasn't the 17-year-old girl that came in. I wasn't the 25-year-old woman that, you know, I was past that now. I wanted a normal life. I wanted normal stuff. I wanted my own space. I didn't want my kitchen, bathroom, bedroom, everything to be in one spot. You know, I was looking out at Chelsea Piers. I wanted to go to Chelsea Piers. You know, I was seeing people on boat rides because this is what your view was.
Right.
I wanted to do that, you know, so, and I remember feeling like I had butterflies in my stomach. And I would wake up and it would go crazy. The butterflies would go crazy. And that's the only way I could describe it to people. You know, right before you go off a roller coaster ride, that dip, that's how I felt every day, all day for like 6 months. But during this process, I graduated with honors from Bar College. Even though I wasn't talking, I cried my way through them papers. You know how you say to yourself, my mom said it looked like I was screaming behind my eyes. And she would ask me on a visit, you all right? You know, what's wrong? And I would be like, I'm good. But it was like I was dying.
They see that's the female intuition. Them as being men, they wouldn't understand that. We could tell by looking at each other's faces what's wrong.
Right.
But as them being men, they can only just sit there and ask because they don't know what it's like.
And then walk away.
Yeah, basically. That's what they end up in trouble.
You know, you start crying in front of your maid, like, wait. You know, so I definitely will say that mentally, and I think that's where the post-traumatic stress starts coming in, and the mental issues that deal with being incarcerated for that long period of time. So when I promised myself every night, I used to say, God, if you get me through this and you don't let me lose my mind, that was my biggest fear. I don't want to lose my mind while incarcerated. You know, I can lose it out here now, right?
Ms. Turner, I can talk to you for 5 hours straight.
But you want
But due to our time constraints.
I want to touch back to something real quick because I know we have to go on to the next one. Back to what we were originally talking about with the adoptive thing. I know, I feel it in my heart. Like there is no difference in between all of that. But I feel as though I did adopt my stepdaughter and he did adopt my kids. You know what I'm saying? Because of our circumstances. You had me thinking this whole time, honestly, which is why I was quiet. Maybe that's why my mother didn't have any other children after me. She was incarcerated for almost 19 years after I was born, you know, on and off. I did see her a lot, but I did see her behind bars. A lot of people don't know that. So it made me think maybe that's why she didn't have any more kids after me. You know what I'm saying?
She probably didn't want you to feel like I can raise these, but I didn't raise her.
I don't hold it against my mother for anything that she did, but I feel like the greatest gift that she ever did was give birth to me. After that, my grandparents did their thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I just wanted to touch base on that. And the PTSD, a lot of people don't realize that the post-traumatic stress, your significant other, as well as I do with him, we see it as, you know what I'm saying, as your husband's been incarcerated also. I've never did that much time. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what that's like.
You was on Rikers?
No, nothing serious.
So now
I learned my lesson very early.
So listen, so y'all can continue talking after. Y'all can continue talking after. I wonder if he could play one of the DeLorean tracks real quick.
Yeah, he has the whole album. He could play something.
I'm sure he does.
DeLorean track. And
But
then
it
when
was
we
good
come
talking
back,
to
we're gonna
you.
have the rest of our
No,
guests.
but we're gonna go on a quick break. I want you to
Yeah.
sign the course copy, and I want to take a picture. You're holding the book on the
Right.
code as well.
Of course.
Huh?
Oh, he said sign my copy. Is it going to me?
DSN.
The Matrix Studios Network.
Yeah, I got this.